You are an evolutionary empath. The world needs your gifts. Hello, sensitive souls, and welcome to my Evolutionary Empath podcast. I'm Stephanie Redfeather, author of the upcoming book, The Evolutionary Empath, which hits shelves in just a few short weeks on November 5th. You can pre-order a copy on my website at bluestartemple.org or through your favorite bookseller. And if you go to my website, be sure to download your free copy of my Evolutionary Empath Activation Manual. Let's check in on our experience of last week's self-care tip before we get into today's new content. Last time I suggested a practice called earthing. More than just grounding, earthing is about making sure our bodies have direct contact with Mother Earth because vital, healthy electrical charges are soaked up through our skin and energy field when we can walk barefooted, lay on the ground, or put our hands in the soil. In today's modern world, our bodies are shielded from direct contact with the earth through rubber and plastic on our shoes and wood, tile, concrete, carpeting, and such in our homes. So direct contact with Mother Earth, even if for a few minutes a day, helps our well-being by being exposed to healthy charges and releasing unhealthy currents. For most of you listening, it is fall, and the opportunity to do this practice on a daily basis will become more challenging. So I encourage you to keep trying, keep getting out there. I also want to say I appreciate reading about your experiences with the self-care tips, so keep the posts coming on my Facebook page. I promised I'd be doing these practices along with you and sharing an experience or two. So I'll share that on one particular day, it was rather warm, so I went outside to lay in my favorite position, face down with my belly on the mama. And so, because it was warm, I had my top half in the shade and my bottom half in the sun. And it was so delightful. And while I lay there, I especially felt energies shifting in my first three chakras as I discharged disharmonious energies and just drank in the yummy frequencies of the earth. And after a few minutes, I could feel my biorhythm slowing down and I felt much calmer. So this really made a difference for me in what I call my internal RPMs because I can rev up pretty high, especially when I'm working in task-oriented mode. So if you want to share your experience with earthing, there's no time limit here. So go to my Facebook page at any time and let me know how this or any other self-care tip is going for you. And don't forget to listen at the end for today's new self-care tip of the week. So let's switch gears and move into today's content. As empaths, our sensitivities can be pretty confounding to Western medicine, Western psychology, and our Western culture in general. This can have multiple consequences, such as being misunderstood, misdiagnosed, or dismissed, and judged as crazy, weak, too sensitive, over-emotional, fragile, or just plain unable to handle the real world. Let me ask you some questions about your experience. Have you been diagnosed with something you knew wasn't true or knew didn't consider the whole picture, such as depression or anxiety? Have you ever had a physician make you wrong for or dismiss your feelings, intuitions, or gut instincts about your health concerns? Have you ever found yourself being admonished, like at work and especially in corporate America, for being, compassionate, thoughtful, heart-centered, open, trusting, creative, or generous? Have family members or friends ever judged you or even cut off their relationship because your intuitive gifts scared them or they didn't know how to interpret what you could do, like seeing the dead, talking to animals, having premonitions, or knowing family secrets without being told? Do you avoid most social hotspots because you have difficulty with large crowds or get overwhelmed by all the stimulus? And is it possible your friends have stopped even asking you to go out with them because you always say no to activities with large crowds or too much noise? Have you freaked out any romantic partners by knowing things about them they hadn't told you yet? Were you hassled by your parents or other caretakers for making things up when you were a child, or flat out accused of lying? Were you told by anybody that you were too sensitive, fragile, unstable, too emotional, or thin-skinned? Chances are you nodded yes to more than one of those questions. The honest truth is that we empaths are an anomaly in our own cultural structures. Because the current value system in our society is still predominantly patriarchal or masculine, our empathic qualities are viewed as weakness and devalued. What do I mean by patriarchal or masculine values? Well, let me give you a short primer on the masculine and feminine archetypes to give you some context. The masculine energies are associated with the right side of the body and the left brain, and major archetypal qualities of the masculine include practicality, logic, being results-oriented, taking action, thinking in a linear or sequential fashion, tending to details and planning, defining boundaries, assertiveness, being competitive, and dealing with the concrete or tangible. So these qualities in themselves are not bad or wrong, but taken to an unhealthy extreme, the masculine becomes overbearing, domineering, arrogant, forceful, unyielding, and controlling. Assertiveness becomes aggression, violence, or attack. And defining healthy boundaries mutates into prejudice, dominance, repression, dictatorship, or separatism. Feminine qualities, on the other hand, are related to the left side of the body and the right brain. So feminine archetypal qualities include intuition, creativity, flexibility and fluidity, relativity as opposed to the absolute, abstract or nonlinear thinking, nurturing and caregiving, present moment awareness, compassion and cooperation, receptivity, the ability to listen, and perception of subtle energies and nonverbal communications. So you might already be seeing a correlation between our empathic traits and the list of feminine qualities. And because the feminine has been devalued for thousands of years, every quality that defines us as empaths has been devalued right along with it. Let me say that again. Because the feminine has been devalued for thousands of years, every quality that defines us as empaths has been devalued right along with it. Can you see these influences in your own life experiences? Here we are with our big open hearts, our desire for peace and harmony, our sensitivity to all manner of energies, our innate understanding of the sentience of all life, living in a culture that only seems to value what you can see, hear, and prove. Western society does not value rest, self-care, or honoring natural rhythms and cycles of nature or our own bodies. The prevailing principles in Western society are about force. Make it happen. Push yourself. Take everything you can get. Who cares about the consequences? And we are the top of the food chain, and therefore our needs matter the most. It is difficult to be a sensitive creature when you're steeped in these kinds of energies. So as empath, it is often difficult to know in our current society if we are truly being accepted and honored for our gifts and sensitivities and perceptions, or if we're merely being tolerated and humored. It is challenging to live in this world being heart-centered. And this is something I'll talk about more in the next podcast episode. Similarly, Western psychology and Western medicine don't have much experience with or a context for our sensitivities and gifts either. Quite often, our everyday experiences and innate sensitivities are trivialized or dismissed as psychosomatic or misdiagnosed entirely. I can't tell you how many empaths I have talked to who have been diagnosed with something: depression, bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, anxiety, agoraphobia. Clearly, their physician did not have the whole picture. Imagine how much they could have been helped if their doctor or psychologist understood they were an empath. In addition to being misunderstood, it is not uncommon for empaths to experience all manner of physical symptoms as a result of our sensitivities and overwhelm and taking on others' emotions. It's sadly kind of like a double whammy, you know? Not only do we get dismissed or laughed at when we try to explain what's going on in our bodies because we just know, now we are showing up with a whole host of ailments because we don't have the tools or consciousness to keep from taking on all those energies around us. On at least 3 different occasions, I have gone to urgent care with symptoms I knew were a result of overload on my nervous system, or from my energy field processing rapid change or intense emotions. Over the years, get this list, I have experienced heart palpitations, difficulty breathing, anxiety symptoms, uncontrolled crying, chest pains, exhaustion, headaches, depression, gastrointestinal distress, neck pain, dizziness, and back pain, and more that I can't even think of, all as a result of processing intense energies, emotions, and stimulus in my world. And I am sure a fair amount of it was also from ascension symptoms, which I'll get to that topic in a few minutes. So to be safe, I always went to the doctor if the symptoms potentially pointed to something more severe, but on the physical level, every single time I checked out perfectly fine. So can you relate to this experience? Have you had similar encounters with doctors or the mental health profession? So further, let me add now ascension symptoms to this stew of confusion that we often experience as empaths. If you haven't heard of ascension symptoms, they are essentially uncomfortable or strange experiences we have as a result of this current phase of humanity's ascent in consciousness. So as we literally raise in vibration, sometimes being acutely blasted with intense high-frequency energies, our bodies go through a kind of spiritual growing pain. The list of potential ascension symptoms is massive, and it can include anything from all manner of physical issues and changes to alterations in perception and development of intuition to spontaneous bliss in experiencing oneness with all things. So that catalog of physical ailments from my own personal life that I shared a minute ago, all those things can be ascension symptoms too. And as empaths, sometimes it's hard to distinguish because we're sensitive not just to the energies around us from humanity, but we're sensitive to all energies, whether that's solar flares or electromagnetic fields or any number of things. And so there is a lot for us to manage. Let me digress at this point for just a moment because I want to acknowledge you. I want to acknowledge your courage in choosing to incarnate into this body you chose, the family, the culture, the country you chose right now at this point in human history. You are a brave soul. It is not easy living with our sensitivities and feeling constantly out of place, misunderstood, and frankly, afraid things might never change. That's why I'm giving you this context. We empaths are an anomaly from our families to our schools, to our churches, to our corporate, government, and medical cultures. It is challenging for us to be functional and find our way amidst the din of everyone else telling us we're wrong and that we need to change. So bravo, my sensitive friend. Hang in there. You are needed. In all of this, please know that I am not anti-doctor or anti-Western medicine. They definitely have their place in society, and I've definitely benefited from them and needed them. I'm just trying to give you a different perspective that will hopefully help you understand and reframe some of the experiences you might have had with Western medicine or Western psychology. And it is my hope that understanding yourself through this lens of empath will allow you to apply a different set of filters and criteria when interacting with your healthcare professionals. So take all of this in, and when you start feeling overwhelmed, misunderstood, alone, back out to the eagle's eye perspective. Come up in elevation, if you will, to look at the bigger picture and remember you are an anomaly right now, okay? Right now, soon we will be the norm, but we came here collectively to help humanity ascend in vibration, to help humanity make it through this period of moving into heart-centered consciousness, of shifting our perspectives and values. That is not an easy task. So remember, you are not alone. You are here with a whole host of other empaths collectively working together. So when it gets rough for you, hopefully this perspective can provide you with a little bit of comfort. Okay, friends, we're getting near the end of the show, so it's time for your self-care tip of the week. And this week, my friends, get in the bath. Water itself is very healing and soothing. I'm sure you know this. Our bodies are made up of 60% water. And according to the Journal of Biological Chemistry, the brain and heart are 73% water, the lungs are 83%, the skin contains 64%, muscles and kidneys 79%, and even the bones have a water content at 31%. And remember, we developed and gestated for 9 months in water, in liquid, in our mother's womb. Water speaks to something at a very deep primal level. When you get in the bath, make it a ritual. Light a candle, do something to make it special. Don't be in a rush, and make sure your family knows that this is personal time for you and you are not to be disturbed. And don't forget to add in the goodies. So Epsom salts would be my number one goodie. They are known for absorbing or drawing out toxins from the body, as well as sedating the nervous system, reducing swelling, and relaxing muscles. I always have Epsom salts in my bath. Goodie number 2, essential oils. Lavender is always a favorite, but get creative and add what you love or what your intuition tells you that you need, and it only takes a few drops. Goodie number 3, baking soda. Baking soda helps with detoxification and healing, and it's great for a variety of skin conditions and just for generally softening the skin. Goodie number 4, powdered milk. This is also great for your skin, and milk baths date back to ancient Rome, and Cleopatra was known to take milk baths. Goodie number 5, flower petals or tea leaves. If you don't like the sensation of stuff floating around or getting on your skin, then you may want to skip this one. But flower petals especially, fresh roses, makes the bath so luxurious and bumps up the magnificence of the experience. And I hear those of you saying, well, I just don't like baths, Stephanie. It's okay. You can still benefit as long as your shower is in a bathtub. So, in this case, you take your shower like you normally would, but you plug up the drain and let the water fill up in the tub while you take your shower. So you put your Epsom salts and your other goodies in the tub, and then use your intention that even though the salts and the goodies are only making contact with your feet and lower legs, that your system will release any toxins through your feet and absorb all the benefits into your entire body. So experiment, soak, meditate, play relaxing music or relish in the quiet, and enjoy your communion with the water. Be sure to post your comments and experiences on my Facebook page. So that wraps it up for today's episode. In today's material, I mentioned the phrase heart-centered. Part of our cosmic mission as evolutionary empaths is that we are here to help humanity move into fourth chakra, or heart-centered consciousness. So next week, I will explain what all that means in greater detail. I'm Stephanie Redfeather, and if you want to find out more about me, my upcoming book, The Evolutionary Empath, or any of my other products and services, go to my website at bluestartemple.org. You can find me also on Facebook and LinkedIn. And if you like this podcast, be sure to like and subscribe to the Sacred Stories podcast. Remember, my fellow sensitive souls, you are an evolutionary empath. The world needs your gifts.